I'm now in Canto 26 of Dante's Paradiso. And at the end of the previous canto, which was the conclusion of the examination of Dante in hope, Dante goes blind. He cannot see anything. He's looking for Beatrice and he sees nothing. And what Dante is getting at here is that his senses are immobilized, not in order to shut them down, but in order for them to be transformed. In other words, in the upper reaches of paradise, our normal five senses are not enough. And there's a very kind of profound point to think about here, and that is that in life, in the world, our knowledge is completely limited by our five senses. Think about it. We often think that somehow we have an unimpeded access to truth and to knowledge. In other words, there's a world out there and we have full access to that world. But you have to think about, how do we do that? How do we have full access to the world? Well, through our eyes, we can see, but we don't see all that well, and we don't see all that far. There are many other creatures that can see farther than we can. Through our ears, yes, we can hear, but we don't hear all that well. We can't hear the kind of echolocation. We can't move through sound the way a bat can. We can't pick up electric signals the way an electric eel can under the water. A dog can hear a lot better than we can. And so our ears, although pretty good, are limited. And the same is true of all our senses of taste, of touch, and so on. So another way to look at it is that, and this is a point, by the way, developed in the philosophy of Immanuel Kant, is the idea that just as a tape recorder can record sound but cannot take photos, a tape recorder is a kind of one-node instrument for capturing reality. We humans are a five-node instrument for capturing reality, which is to say that we can see, we can hear, we can taste, we can smell, we can touch. But the important point is we can do those things within a range, and we don't have any real other senses. In other words, people will say, and there's a little bit of a joke, we have a sixth sense. But if you think about it, the sixth sense is an intuition that is developed by using the other five senses. There's no genuine other sense that we have, similar, as I say, to the ability to detect electric rays or something like that. There are other creatures that have abilities that we don't. Bats and electric eels being only two. So Dante's point here is that how do we experience the fullness of knowledge and of experience that is there to be had in paradise? And what Dante is getting at is we kind of need new senses. So Dante's temporary blindness is a metaphor for, I need new eyes. But I don't just need new eyes in the sense of I have LASIK. I need new eyes in the sense of I need eyes that can see further than a normal human eye can. I need a different kind of vision altogether. And my senses need to be multiplied and transformed. So here's Dante, long before Kant, recognizing that some sort of transformation has to be underway. And I think this is important to think about when we think about heaven. We're like, what's it going to be like in heaven? And we always think, well, you take yourself right now and just transplant yourself into like a really beautiful setting. Almost think about the picture in the Quran. It's going to be like, trees with dates and 72 virgins and pastures and running water. But this is nothing more than a kind of anthropomorphized view of heaven. Heaven becomes nothing more than you take kind of the most attractive picture on earth and essentially go, that's the way it's going to be forever. It's going to be just like that. But Dante is really saying that's not the way it's going to be. We got to realize how circumscribed we are by human limitations. And these human limitations are limitations not just on our sight and our smell and our touch. They're limitations on our experience itself. We can only experience things within a range that is given by the kind of beings that we are. And what Dante is saying is that after I've undergone this experience, this kind of examination in faith, I've laid out my belief in doctrine, by the way. You have faith in doctrine. For a long time, for example, people would memorize, as I did as a child, the Creed. This is the Nicene Creed adopted by the early church around 325 AD. And the reason you adopt the Creed is when you say, I have faith in the Creed. The Creed is a kind of statement, a doctrinal statement of belief. And then Dante has this examination in hope, which is, what do you hope for? What's your expectation? Where do you want to go? And now he's getting ready for his examination in love, but love cannot be seen in quite that same way, because love is totally experiential. And so to prepare himself for this examination itself, Dante is struck blind so that he can emerge, to use his own phrase, a kind of odd phrase that he uses early on in the Commedia. He has to be transhumanized. And Dante doesn't mean that in any sinister way. He just means that he needs senses and faculties and the ability to experience things that go beyond the ordinarily human.